All right, everybody, welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know what we do here? We dive deep.
That's right.
Today, we're diving into the world of crypto.
Ooh, thanks.
Looking ahead to 2025, buckle up. We're basing this deep dive on an episode from the DeepPod Web3 podcast.
Okay.
They called it Crypto Trends 2025.
Catchy.
And let me tell you, they hit the nail on the head.
Really laid it all out.
They break down the future of crypto into 4 major trends.
4 big ones. Okay.
We've got regulatory shifts happen.
Interesting.
Institutional adoption is on the rise.
Things are getting serious.
NFTs are evolving beyond just digital art.
Oh, now that's intriguing.
And of course, the tech breakthroughs keep coming.
Can't forget about the tech.
It's a lot to unpack, but we're going to make it fun and easy to understand.
Looking forward to it.
So let's start with the one that always seems to make headlines.
Let's hear it.
Regulation.
Oh.
DeepPod Web3 put it this way. What do the latest proposals for stablecoin and DeFi regulation mean for investors and innovators?
Right. Yeah. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a head-scratcher, to be honest.
For sure. For sure. It's a really complex area, but it's super important to wrap our heads around.
Absolutely. So what's the deal with all this regulation talk?
Well, the thing is, the whole crypto scene is changing so rapidly, and governments around the world are trying to figure out how to keep up.
Right, makes sense.
They want to protect investors and make sure things are fair.
Of course.
But they also don't want to stifle innovation.
To cuff balance.
Exactly like walking a tightrope.
So what are some of the specific things they're looking at regulating?
Well, one of the big ones is stablecoins.
Okay.
Remember those? They're cryptocurrencies that are designed to be pegged to a stable asset like the US dollar.
Right, so they're supposed to be less volatile.
Exactly. And that makes them potentially really useful for everyday transactions.
I could see that.
But there have been some concerns about whether stablecoins are actually as stable as they claim to be.
Oh, so there's some skepticism there.
Yeah, and that's why we're seeing proposals like the Stablecoin Transparency Act.
What's that all about?
Essentially, it aims to make sure that stablecoin issuers are holding adequate reserves.
So they can actually back up their claims.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way, if you're using a stablecoin, you can be more confident that it's actually going to hold its value.
Makes sense. So more transparency and accountability.
Right. And that could make stablecoins even more appealing for everyday use.
Interesting. And what about DeFi? I know that's another area where there's a lot of regulatory buzz.
Absolutely. DeFi is short for decentralized finance.
Right. I've heard the term, but honestly, I'm still a bit fuzzy on what it actually is.
Well, think of it as a whole ecosystem of financial applications that are built on blockchain technology.
Okay.
The key thing with DeFi is that it's designed to cut out the middleman.
So no banks or financial institutions involved?
Exactly. It's all about peer-to-peer transactions.
Wow, that's pretty revolutionary.
It is, and it has the potential to really shake things up in the financial world.
But I imagine that also makes it tricky to regulate.
You got it, because there's no central authority. It's harder for regulators to get their arms around it.
I see. So how are they approaching that challenge?
Well, it's still early days, but there are a lot of discussions happening right now. Some regulators are looking at focusing on the points of contact between DeFi and the traditional financial system.
So like exchanges where people buy and sell crypto.
Exactly. That's one area. Others are exploring ways to regulate the protocols themselves.
The underlying technology behind DeFi.
Right. It's a complex issue, and there are no easy answers.
Sounds like it. So it's definitely an area to keep an eye on.
For sure. The regulatory landscape is going to have a huge impact on the future of crypto.
No doubt about it. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about another major trend.
Okay, I'm listening.
Institutional adoption.
Ah, yes. The big players are starting to take notice.
That's right. It used to be that crypto was this niche thing for tech enthusiasts and early adopters.
Right, very much a fringe movement.
But now we're seeing major financial institutions and venture funds pouring money into this space.
It's becoming mainstream.
Exactly. DeepPod Web3 talked about how BlackRock launched a spot Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And a lot of venture capital firms are backing DeFi startups.
They're seeing the potential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you make of all this institutional interest?
Well, on the one hand, it's a sign that crypto is becoming more legitimate.
Right. It's not just a speculative asset anymore.
Exactly. These institutions are doing their due diligence, and they're clearly seeing something they like.
So it's a vote of confidence, in a way?
I think so. And their involvement could also bring more stability to the market.
How so?
Well, think about it. These institutions have a lot of resources and expertise. They can help to develop the infrastructure and the regulatory frameworks that are needed for crypto to truly go mainstream.
So it's not just about the money they're investing, it's also about the expertise they bring.
Exactly. But of course, there are also some potential downsides to this institutional involvement.
Oh, there's always another side to the coin.
Right. One concern is that it could lead to centralization.
I can see how that could happen. If a few big players start controlling a large chunk of the market.
Exactly. And that goes against the whole ethos of decentralization that crypto was built on.
So it's something to be mindful of.
Definitely. We need to make sure that crypto remains accessible and open to everyone, not just the big institutions.
Well said. Okay, let's move on to something that's really captured my imagination.
I'm intrigued.
The evolution of NFTs.
NFTs. Yeah, everyone's talking about them these days.
Right. But DeepPod Web3 made the point that NFTs are going way beyond just digital art.
Oh, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
They talked about NFTs being used in gaming, digital identities, and even real-world applications.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
I know, right? It's kind of mind-blowing.
So let's start with gaming. How could NFTs play a role there?
Well, imagine instead of just buying a digital item in a game, you actually owned it as an NFT.
Oh, so like I could truly own that cool sword or that rare skin.
Exactly. You'd have proof of ownership on the blockchain.
And I could potentially sell it or trade it with other players.
Right. It would be like owning a real-world collectible, but in the digital realm.
That's pretty cool. And what about digital identities? I've heard whispers about that.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine having an NFT that represents your digital identity.
So instead of having a million different usernames and passwords.
Exactly. You could use your NFT to verify your identity across all sorts of online platforms.
Oh, that would be so much more convenient and secure.
Right. It could revolutionize how we interact online.
And what about real-world applications? That's the one I'm having trouble picturing.
Think about things like real estate.
Okay.
You could have an NFT that represents ownership of a property.
So like a digital title deed.
Exactly. It could streamline the whole buying and selling process and reduce the risk of fraud.
Wow, that would be huge.
And that's just scratching the surface. There are so many potential use cases for NFTs that we haven't even thought of yet.
It's pretty mind-boggling when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ready for the tech deck dive?
Bring it on. I'm ready to get geeky.
All right. DeepPod Web3 talked about two key tech breakthroughs:
Hit me with them.
scalability and cross-chain interoperability.
Ah, yes. Those are the holy grails of blockchain technology.
I'll be honest, those terms always make me feel a little bit intimidated.
Don't worry, I'll break it down for you.
Okay, thanks.
So let's start with scalability. This is all about making blockchain networks faster and more efficient.
Okay, so they can handle more transactions.
Exactly. Right now, blockchains like Ethereum can only process a limited number of transactions per second.
And that causes bottlenecks.
Yep. It leads to slow transaction speeds and high fees.
Which is a problem if you want crypto to be used for everyday transactions.
Right. But luckily, there are some really smart people working on solutions.
Oh, that's good to hear.
One of the most promising technologies is called sharding.
Sharding, okay.
It's basically a way of breaking the blockchain into smaller pieces so that transactions can be processed in parallel.
So it's like dividing up the workload.
Exactly. And that could drastically increase transaction speeds and lower fees.
Sounds promising.
It is.
Yeah.
And then there's cross-chain interoperability.
Okay. That one sounds even more complex.
It's not as scary as it sounds.
Yeah.
Basically, right now, different blockchains are like separate islands.
They can't communicate with each other.
Not easily. But cross-chain interoperability aims to build bridges between these islands.
So you could move assets between different blockchains seamlessly.
Exactly. Imagine transferring your Bitcoin directly to your Ethereum wallet without having to go through a centralized exchange.
That would be awesome.
It would. And it would open up a whole world of possibilities for new applications and innovations.
So we're talking about a future where crypto is faster, cheaper, and more interconnected.
That's the vision. And these tech breakthroughs are paving the way.
Amazing. Wow, we covered a lot of ground today.
We sure do.
We explored the regulatory landscape, the rise of institutional adoption, the evolution of NFTs, and the tech breakthroughs that are shaping the future of crypto.
It's an exciting time to be involved in this space.
It really is. There's so much innovation happening and so much potential.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technology, it's about the possibilities it unlocks.
Right. Crypto has the potential to change the way we think about finance ownership and even identity.
It's a real paradigm shift.
So as we look ahead to 2025 and beyond, the question is, what role will crypto play in your life?
Will you be using stablecoins for your daily purchases?
Will you be exploring the world of NFT gaming?
Will you be leveraging blockchain technology to build new businesses or solve real-world problems?
The possibilities are endless.
The future is yours to shape.
That's right. So keep learning, stay curious, and let's see what amazing things we can create together.
I'm ready for the ride.
Me too. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
See you next time.